This is Freda Reiter, courtroom sketch artist for ABC News. In 1973, Reiter was assigned to the Watergate Burglary Trial, and at that point she had absolutely no idea that this little trial was about to blow up into the political scandal of the century.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
For 2 years, Freda lived out of hotel rooms, traveling with her sketch pad and pastels.
But I've never been on anything solidly like this for 2 years, never.
Her destination every morning was the district courthouse. Outside, the cameramen waited to grab shots of the cast of characters on trial, but only artists like Reiter were allowed to actually enter the courthouse and see what goes on inside. Years before, in 1935, 2 cameramen illegally filmed the Lindbergh kidnapping trial, and in response, the American Bar Association adopted Canon 35, which prohibited cameras in court on the grounds that cameras are calculated to detract from the essential dignity of the proceedings and create misconceptions with respect thereto in the mind of the public. This meant that all visual depictions of court cases were left to sketch artists hired by newspapers. Freda Reiter was one such artist, and in 1973 she would demonstrate that she was one of the best of her craft, creating hundreds of sketches that would flood the airwaves of one of America's foremost news broadcasts.
The 6-man panel of experts provided him with a considerable challenge. Chosen by the White House and the prosecutors, the experts reported their conclusions were unanimous.
During the 1972 election, G. Gordon Liddy, Howard Hunt, and 3 others were caught breaking into the Democratic National Convention in the prestigious Watergate Hotel. Within a short period of time, several members of the Nixon administration were also implicated in the crime. And when the inevitable trial got underway, Reiter was in close proximity with every one of these people.
Good morning, Mr. Ehrlichman.
Aren't you new?
Yes.
Where are you from?
They had become celebrities, and she couldn't help but feel that she had a special connection with them.
Mr. Ehrlichman is so nice. He's so very nice. And it's hard to connect this gracious, kindly man, as far as I'm concerned, with the role that he played as the Watergate bad man.
Inevitably, all art creates a narrative, and we have to wonder, what kind of a narrative has Reiter created here? In her interviews, it quickly becomes clear that she's not afraid of inhabiting complex and even potentially hypocritical points of view.
And this I love because it really gives you a feeling of Ehrlichman, the dark, dilemma-like feeling. You know, when I saw him in the Senate, Watergate, I thought, what an arrogant man. You can't imagine how almost solicitous he is, and humble, and sort of sad, really. I feel terribly sorry. Knowing his wife and children, I almost sense what he's going through. Just a horror.
Yet still, she could be decisively critical, especially of the older men.
I don't think the older men really give a darn. Their attitude seems to be that of, I didn't do anything wrong, and there's nothing I have to repent about.
And this ambivalence can be seen in her attitude towards the Chief of Staff, H.R. Haldeman.
I was looking at Mr. Haldeman's tie class, and he still retains the Richard Nixon tie class with the signature and the White House, and he wears the flag and the whole bit, really. He's never left the White House.
How is he holding up, Haldeman?
Very well. He's surrounded by a lovely, lovely daughter, really nice girl, who's going to law school. You have to realize that these are nice people. They're affable, they're cordial, they're very, very nice.
But while Reiter may have had nuanced opinions about her subjects, she didn't extend the same level of courtesy to Attorney General John Mitchell, who personally insulted her in an interview with the Associated Press. In a related trial in New York, Mitchell was introduced to Reiter's twin sister Ida, who was also a courtroom illustrator but worked for NBC. And according to Ida's book, he wouldn't stop flirting with her. The way he treated Freda, however, was quite different. Mitchell accused her of spying on him when she tried to sketch him talking to his lawyer.
And this I like, I haven't finished it, is Mitchell and his lawyer.
Later, an Associated Press reporter asked Mitchell offhand which of the 2 sisters he preferred, and his answer was deliberately insulting. He said Ida was the much better artist and looked about 10 years younger than Freda. This conflict made Freda and Ida's already bad relationship even worse, and they stopped talking to each other altogether. But the real star of the trial was John Dean, As a member of the Nixon administration, Dean turned whistleblower after realizing he was being set up as a scapegoat, and his testimony became the linchpin of the prosecution. He and his wife, Maureen Dean, took the spotlight as the youthful faces of honesty.
She's a very, very beautiful woman. Her skin is absolutely magnificent, and her skin tone and her eyes are just beautiful. Examined her face very closely the other day, and some of it may be created too. I mean, through plastic surgery, particularly around the nasal area.
During the Senate hearings, which were televised, John Dean made an offhand comment that he suspected that Nixon was recording his conversations.
The president almost from the outset began asking me a number of leading questions, which made me think that the conversation was being taped and a record was being made to protect himself.
His hunch would turn out to be correct. Nixon had secretly recorded all of his meetings, roughly 3,700 hours worth of potential evidence of his crimes. This is a sketch of Nixon's lawyer James St. Clair, unsuccessfully petitioning the Supreme Court to stop the release of a collection of the recordings. Among this collection was The Smoking Gun, a tape of a conversation that proved Nixon was involved in obstructing justice. The release of these tapes would dramatically change the trial, as it now focused almost entirely on this new technological medium.
But that's why I think that, that John and Bob have met with me. They've never met with Mitchell on this. We've never had a real down and out with everybody that has the most to lose. And it's the most danger for you to have them have criminal liability. I think Bob has a potential criminal liability, frankly. I think, in other words, a lot of these people could be indicted. They might never be convicted. But just the thought of indictment.
News broadcasts now needed imagery to show while they played the tapes, and so Reiter shifted from sketching the present to sketching the past.
The investigation, the Democratic break-in thing, we're back in the problem area because the FBI is not under control because Gray doesn't exactly know how to control it, and their investigation is now leading into some productive areas because they've been able to trace the money, not through the money itself, but through the bank, sources, the banker. So, and it goes in some directions we don't want it to go.
After The Smoking Gun, it was clear to everyone that Nixon's senior staff were guilty. Nixon resigned, and the final trial began several months later. In this sketch, Judge Sirica gives his instructions to the jury before their deliberation, and it wasn't long before they had a guilty verdict. During the trials, Reiter was constantly sketching at all times. She captured all the incidental moments of the courthouse, the empty seats, the guards, and the cleaning lady. But the easiest for her to sketch was Judge Sirica, who presided over the case. In the years to come, it would be well noted that Watergate wouldn't have gone anywhere without Sirica's persistence. Reiter was well aware that this case was and would be the pinnacle of her career, the most historic case she would ever be a part of. She hoped to put together a book of her sketches, but never got around to it.
Art has a great message to give, and this TV drawing is, I think, part of what art can deliver to the world. It can give a visual concept of a great trial.
Gallery 98 has a collection of over 100 Watergate courtroom sketches by Freda Reiter. For more, please check out the collection on our website, gallery98.org.